Today we're speaking with Nicholas Anderson, who is the author of NOC, British Secret Operations, and today we're going to be speaking about the history of AIDS. Nicholas, would you like to tell us what it is that is of interest to people with regards to your book and that topic?
Thank you for the introduction. The subject is really my take on the history of AIDS, things that have happened to me, and it became a catalyst of sorts for me, if you like. And the lady in my life, the first lady love of my life, and I thought the lady that was going to be the mother of my children, who we dated for 9 years from the middle 70s, died of an unknown disease. And in 1981, they said she was dying. In 1982, she passed away. And as I said, it became something of a thorn in the side of my life because no one knew at the time what it was. And then, sadly to say, a couple of years after her funeral, they exhumed her body and they discovered it was AIDS. So, if you don't mind, I'll read a little piece from my own book from page 366.
Certainly.
The bottom line is this: in chronological order, 1959, man discovers this unknown viral disease and studies it in labs for 5 or 6 years, and later tests the effects of the virus on its own unsuspecting people. I proved that. In 1964, 1965, the same viral research program was implemented on a wider area in Uganda, Africa. In 1975, a renowned scientist with a conscience informed the world that something is about to occur worldwide from a virus that causes cancer. Didn't say what it was. In 1980, my girlfriend that I referred to received a blood transfusion in Uganda after accidentally cutting herself there. In 1981, her doctors say she's dying. In 1982, she passed away. In 1984, the medical establishment announces AIDS has been found in Uganda, of all places. What am I supposed to think? Purely circumstantial? I doubt it. It seemed almost too ironic for my liking, and my suspicion remains. On this subject, I have always wanted to disprove my findings, and I have failed. This is my compelling conclusion. It is my utmost sincere understanding of the truth as I conceive it to be. That's my take on the history of AIDS.
Well, I think that certainly pretty well documented that there are a lot of governments who have carried out what you could say would be experiments on population, sometimes even a military population in a more controlled environment. I think that that's happened enough of the time in history that certainly it would be very easy to kind of add 2 and 2 together and get 4 on that, especially considering what it is that you have seen firsthand.
Well, I wrote about my findings in my book, and in fact, earlier we referred to a doctor who had stem cell transplantation, and I'm pleased to find out that there are many examples of stem cell transplantation curing HIV infections, actually. So I found also as I'm going through life that quite a large number of people actually have no idea if they have HIV or AIDS. They don't know what their T-cell counts are, etc. I also have been involved in a non-profit charity based in Washington, D.C. I believe it was called Population International. And they would furnish rubber condoms, especially to Africa and Asia, and free for the men. And interestingly, in Africa, the men find it not masculine to use it. So they've got this problem there in their heads as well as the body.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so people don't even seem to know in our society that HIV is a virus and AIDS is a definition.
Right. Yeah, there's unfortunately, because of a lot of what AIDS is associated with, a lot of people generally kind of have blinders on when it comes to the disease, and unfortunately people think that it only applies to a small percentage of people, and so that means that it couldn't possibly be something that affects them.
That's right. And interestingly also, the older generation seem to think it's only something that applies to the younger generation, so they're having unprotected sex in their 50s, 60s, 70s even.
Mm-hmm.
Lucky them. And they're finding out they're getting HIV because they're unprotected.
Right. Yeah, and
there's a high increase of that.
I imagine
anyway,
so.
I just wanted to say that this was a catalyst for me, and it's what I wrote about, and it was dear to my heart, and it was the main reason I wrote the book, after I discovered that the doctor in question had his stem cell transplantation, so it kind of spurred me on.
So those two things kind of dovetail on each other, and it sounds like that's one of the you spoke before about your main motivating reason for writing the book, so it kind of makes this a little more clear as to the more personal motivation, instead of
absolutely
purely the altruistic sort of reasons.
Yep. Well, I'd obviously like to see something like this eradicated or answers, but when you're a young man in your early 30s and you've had a young lady in your life for 9 years and this happened to you, I think it obviously affected me for the rest of my life.
Well, certainly, especially when you consider the source or the lack of resources and the reasons why that sort of thing exists and persists. You would kind of think that there would be enough people who are supposed to be doing something about this, that they would actually be doing something about it effectively, rather than either claiming ignorance or disavowing knowledge, and maybe even finding some way of profiting off of the lack of information or the lack of resources that are there as well.
Yeah, but there's also another something, and I tend to put it into the following sentence: they are none so blind as those who will not see.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, this sort of thing hurts me to talk about it, so I don't think I'm quite up to finishing this one, Joseph.
Well, not a problem. Thank you again very much for your time. Now, for those who are interested in reading, and I would suspect that there's probably a good amount of detail about this particular topic in the book.
Right.
You mentioned the page number, which is going to be helpful for people who purchase your book. They'll know directly where to go. But if anybody wants more information about your book and about yourself, they can go to nicholasanderson.info, and they can read for themselves what it is that you have experienced. And of course, this book is fictional, based on true experience.
That's correct. And also that page 366 is actually in the printed paperback. If you downloaded it, it would be another number, I think.
Oh, right. Well, I would imagine that there's probably a chapter or something like that that should be fairly obvious where they could go to.
Yes.
Okay, well, very good. Thank you again for your time. It's greatly appreciated.
And thank you too.
All right, well, thanks, and have a great night there.
Right, and you. Good night.
All right, thank you.